She muted? Okay. Okay. Well, welcome everybody here and at home, online, wherever you might be. And thanks for taking the time to come in and chat about open houses. In the Education Committee, as we're talking about open houses, I think a lot of us do open houses, some every single weekend, some just many, many weekends. I kind of got elected to come up here because I love open houses. I'm passionate about open houses. And that's because open houses work. And I come into a lot of contact with clients where we're sitting in a listing presentation and they say, so what's your view on open houses? And I go, I love open houses. Open houses work. And they look at me like, well, other realtors have told me they're just a total waste of time. And I said, well, the big thing about open houses, to make them work, is you got to be there and do them. That's number one. I measure every single open house I do and want to track what comes out of that open house. And over the past 3 years consistently, it ranges between 62 to 65% of my listings sell to somebody introduced to the property through an open house. That's my number one reason for doing an open house. So what's your number one reason so far for doing open houses? How many of you do open houses? Pretty much everybody in here, everybody. We're going to assume you guys all do them because you're listening in TV land. When it comes to open houses, what is the meaning of an open house? If you look it up on Wikipedia, what they say is it's an event. It's an event open to the public. And how many times when we put them in our week, when we put them in our month, when we put them on our calendar, do we see them as an event? So an event is really something that has to be well planned, well organized, and well executed. So what does that mean in terms of all of the pieces that go into an open house? I can tell you that 15 years into this business, there are weekends, there are weeks when I get to Saturday and go, oh, right, I have an open house tomorrow. And every single time I drop the ball, I feel it in my open house. So as an event, any kind of an event in your life, what are you going to do to prepare? So that's one of the first things to talk about and look at for an open house is the preparation. Why are you going to do it? So what would you look at as being the why behind an open house? I told you my why and what I tell my sellers about an open house. How about you guys? Anybody want to share why they do an open house, what they expect to get out of an open house?
Traffic, exposure.
Traffic and exposure. And what are you looking for exposure? When you say exposure, what does that mean to you?
For me, when I'm doing it.
Okay. Can you hear, are you able to hear Mike's answer on that, guys? Okay. Mike, I'm going to bring you the mic.
Right on. Okay, so for exposure, I'm looking for extra advertising through the Chronicle Herald open house, even Kijiji, a couple of other sites that I go onto. And if somebody that's coming to the house isn't necessarily the one buying the house, they may be talking about it on Monday, or something.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else in here want to pipe in? No? Okay. Okay, Wendy McMillan.
One main reason I do open houses is because I know they work. I purchased a home through an open house. No intention to buy. Drove by, went in, loved the house. So having that testimonial really helps. And then one of my colleagues from another brokerage in the past has done the same thing. Purchased a home based on just going to an open house.
With
so,
no intention of buying,
yeah,
just wandering in?
Yeah. So just having that to say to people, because I do get that question quite regularly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I certainly did not plan to buy a house that day when I drove by.
I love it. Awesome. Anybody else had that experience yet? I have had that experience where people have walked in and said, oh, we were just looking until we got here. Now we're looking more seriously, which is to me an absolute bonus and one of those aha moments when you go, this is why I do this again. This is why I do it. Anybody, somebody else online, Henry, bought their house via an open house as well. So in the statistics that I hear people repeat that, open houses only work 1% of the time. Anybody else ever heard or read that statistic? I've had that quoted to me from sellers have actually quoted it to me. I've gone, wow, okay, well, if you don't do them and you don't get it out there, then you don't have a chance of it working. So when we look at some of the things for traffic and exposure, some good things there, what other kinds of things do you go into an open house to try to come out with? What's your goals when you go in? Anything else other than the exposure, the extra advertising you're going to do, Anne?
Feedback on the house. Feedback on the house.
Awesome. So what do you do with the feedback on the house?
Well, I can communicate that with clients as to, because people are very free with their opinions of your house versus the one they just came from, and this one's better or worse, and they'll just tell you, versus you're getting the filtered feedback through another agent of, it's just not the right fit. Useless feedback. Sorry. And
Don't be. We've all been there.
yeah.
On both sides of that, probably.
Yeah. And then the other thing would be, the way I always look at it is, if my first job is to sell the house because I'm there to represent the seller, but once I know the person has a Zippo interest in this house, then I switch into buyer retention mode.
Awesome. So everybody get that one of going from seller to buyer mode if the house isn't going to be a fit. And how do we know if the house is a fit? Sometimes they tell you. Any kind of body language that might sometimes come up? Anne says you can tell every time. Sometimes I think that people come into open houses because they don't know what they want. Has anybody had that experience, that they're truly wandering? Might be the case that you were talking about, Wendy, of coming in going, oh my God, now I want to buy a house. I just wanted to look before. Now I want to buy a house. So all of the things that are happening as people walk in the door, there's a little bit of preparation before getting there, just looking at the reasons we do an open house and what we expect to get out of there. Point one is know why you're doing this. And that is the most important clarity moment when you book an open house, when you're making the plans for the open house. Why are you going to do it? And it may be different if it's somebody else's listing and you're going into. It may be different if you've listed the house this week and you're going in. I loved your comment, Anne, about the feedback. Sometimes there's things that sellers may need to hear quoted from somebody else's opinion and not ours. Anybody ever had that experience? That, yeah, when I said it, they didn't believe me, but now that I have it in writing from people, it has a little bit more weight. They might listen a little bit more. Okay. Love that one. Good buying signs. Anybody have anybody sit down and make themselves at home in an open house before? You think, wow, okay, how long are they going to think they can try it on for before they need to actually do something here? Okay. So the why behind your open house, really number one, in terms of being able to really have a plan. When we look at that, the exposure, picking up buyers if they're not interested in the house or you don't see it being a fit for them. I look at it in another way. I had a really interesting experience that I didn't know I was having until later. Has that ever happened to anybody? That I had an open house in a vacant property, just a beautiful home. Young couple walked in. I approached them the way I always do in an open house, introduced myself, told them that I was there on behalf of the sellers and happy to present this beautiful home, giving them some information on it. We got into lots of conversation. These people ended up telling me by the end of the visit that they weren't sure about this house, but they were sure about me, which was very interesting. It took me about a month later, when I started to work with them right away, it took me about a month later when they were kind of having this little bit of a giggle in a house we were in looking at, when they told me I was referred to them by another one of my clients. And they were just trying me on for fit when they came to the open house. And I went, whoa. That's exactly how they put it. We were just trying you on for fit when we came in. And I went, wow, I was on a job interview and I didn't even really think about it or know it in that way. And I now think about every single time I'm in an open house that I am in a job interview. And yes, they're looking at the house, they're looking at information on the house, but I'm in a job interview every single time. Every single person who walks in the door could potentially be a client, become a client, or could be a potential if they have an agent already. But for the house, I'm still in an interview because now they're interviewing me and the house together. So that was one of those moments where I went, wow, no off moments, start to finish, all the way through. From the moment I'm pulling up my car, opening up the trunk and putting out a sign, I'm in an interview. They are trying you on. They are checking out, what are you doing? How do you look? Where are you doing that? Are you looking really upset when the car goes by and splashes you? Anybody ever had one of those that you just want to react? I'm now remembering I'm in an interview all the way through. People see you, they make very quick decisions, judgments, whether we like it or not. But that is part of what we're doing on Sunday afternoon when we're spending our time doing an open house. Just touching on the signage for just a minute. How many of you have just randomly gone to an open house, even now that you're in this industry, before you were in the industry or since you've been in the industry? Lots of yeses there. Anybody here? No? When's the last time you actually went to somebody else's open house? Not a colleague that you're working with, not anything like that. No idea? Yeah? Okay. And I'm just what's that? I'm just gonna ask you some questions if I can for a second, Janice. I don't know. Now she's going, why did I say anything?
I don't think I went.
So what prompted you to go into an open house when you did? That wasn't her open house, wasn't colleagues' open house?
I was actually out for a walk, and Shelley and I were looking for a house for buyers, and I thought, oh, this might be something that they might be interested in, so I went in.
Okay, so
Yeah.
kind of a random experience. Can you tell us anything about the experience?
We kind of wandered through the house without any direction, really, from the agent that was there, which I found very interesting. You know, that I expected a little bit more engagement, but we were engaged towards the end of it. I thought it was well advertised in the sense we weren't on the street that the open house was on, but the signage kind of drew you in.
Okay. So you followed signage to find it, didn't know you were going, saw the signage
Right.
and followed it and went? Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that and the experience in there. Anybody else ever had that experience that you're driving along and all of a sudden you're seeing some signage and going, I wonder where that is. I wonder if maybe I should run in, have a look? No? Okay, Wendy McMillan says, just the time that she bought it. I don't know, I think that's a pretty significant one. Nice to see it be a fit for my clients. Thank you, Shelley. 2 weeks ago, Holly, anything you want to tell us about? Oh, in January for Shelley too. Any feedback on those? And you can unmute if you want to talk and share it. Or maybe not? Oh, okay. Okay.
Mine was, it was new construction. So I'm always interested more to see what is out there for new construction, especially if working for a builder. So that was the only motive in mine.
And how was that experience for you, Shelley?
It was interesting. I find that, and I'm guilty of this, that most of us become very complacent when we're doing open houses for builders, that we've become so accustomed to people just coming in and looking around more for building ideas for themselves or renovating ideas that we probably don't engage them as much as we should, or I'm guilty of that. So that was the kind of experience that I had. The other agent was not engaging or, really qualifying me in any way.
Okay. Can I ask you how? Oh, go ahead.
They did not know me or who I was, so.
Okay. So you could have been anybody coming in there. Can I ask you a question? How did that make you feel? How did you feel wandering the house, not being engaged, not having sort of anybody really take you through, show you interest?
It was an eye-opener. It was an eye-opener for sure that, every opportunity that we have with somebody coming in should be an opportunity to engage them. That's our business. If you're afraid to talk to people who are walking into your open house or engaging them, then you're really failing at what you should be doing. It's prospecting.
Awesome. Thank you. Could everybody hear that? Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to share that's online? Holly, you've got some comments in there. Do you want to, anything you want to add to that?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
So when I went in, as I said, the agent did not engage. She didn't know me. Well, I knew that I didn't know her, so I was assuming she didn't know me. And so I went in, and very sort of unprofessional looking and not real friendly. Didn't really show me around or tell me really anything about the property. Just let me go do my thing. It did introduce herself, but just the whole, and then I was thinking to myself, well, should I tell her I'm an agent? And then I thought, well, I'm going to walk around here for a bit. And I did ask her a question, and she answered it. She was texting on her phone. And then I told her I was an agent with Keller Williams, and she immediately, just sort of switched up her whole thing. And I was thinking to myself later, as I'm driving away, I was thinking, now that would have been a good opportunity for me to, talk to her about Keller Williams. And I thought, no, I don't think so, because really that poor seller was not getting any benefit of that person being there at the open house, as far as I was concerned. Anyway, so it made me think, oh boy, I do these way better than you do.
Motivation. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'll unmute.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else ever had those experiences where you go in, you're not welcomed, you're not acknowledged coming in? Somebody's on their phone, somebody's in looking at that whole opportunity. And I meant to put this one up. I will send it out to you guys. It was one that I follow Barbara Corcoran in the States, who put up a really interesting little blob that said, basically, in the age of technology, sometimes we forget how important it is to be face-to-face, and what happens in that face-to-face moment that no technology will ever provide us. And an open house, the reason we commit to the time, the reason we prepare, the reason we go in there is the face-to-face opportunity that presents itself there, that we work hard with technology to create. And how many times are we on the technology in that moment? Anybody else get addicted to it? You hear that little bing and you're like, How many times might we waste even 30 seconds of the face-to-face time that is that time of welcoming, acknowledgement, your opportunity to pull that live person in? And do you know in the first 30 to 60 seconds whether they're a potential buyer, either for that house or for something else, or whether they're working with an agent? That first 30 to 60 seconds, what are you actually doing in that first 30 to 60 seconds when they walk in the door? What's the make or break? I think we heard it quite interestingly from the people who have just wandered into open houses, the wake-up call to say, wow, they need to be acknowledged. They need to feel welcome. They need to know that they're in the right place, even if it doesn't end up being the right house, in the right place. Hugs from Rebecca as soon as they come in the door. Rebecca, you could get away with that. I don't think I could. I do handshakes usually. But we all understand how Rebecca would get away with that one. Well, and it is knowing our own abilities, knowing our own personality and how we may or may not be able to bring that about. But the point being, if we miss that moment, we may spend the next 10, 15, 20 minutes that they're in there trying to recover. So instead of recovery mode, if we're really conscious and in the moment with that first coming in the door, the acknowledgement, welcome, we're so glad that you came in today. What other kinds of things can help them feel acknowledged and welcome? What happens on those moments where you've got 2 or 3 sets of people in? And by the way, guys, this is one of those going, oh my God moments. Last Sunday, 23 sets of people through my open house. I'm like, okay, what the hell just happened there? Honestly, going, yeah, when I actually could stop and get my breath at 5:15 was the last one, walked out the door. 23 sets of people. I still don't know why. I'm kind of going, yeah, I did the regular things that I usually do in terms of advertising, in terms of the timing of it, in terms of putting it out there, and just went, thank you. I don't know why you blessed me with 23 sets today, but thank you. However, I will tell you, it was not my most effective open house. It was absolutely not my most effective open house. It's a long time since I've had that many people come through the doors, and I was like a fish out of water in terms of how to balance all of those people, really make sure they're welcome. What I did hear consistently was, oh my God, this house is going to be gone really quick. Yeah. So when we look at those and the expectation, the weekend before, I had 1 set of people through my open house. Same area. Not the same house, but same area. So when we're looking, mortgage broker to join her. Good, very good input. And Rebecca, was it a new listing? Interestingly enough, it was a listing I had on for 4 months. We let it expire, did some new photos, did a new price, and just put it back on. And that is one of my focuses whenever I'm putting a listing on, is to time it that I can open house it that first weekend. So were there a lot of people in there that saw it as a brand new listing? Yes, there were. Was it a brand new listing truly? No, it wasn't. So, and sorry, I'm jumping, I get distracted and try to get back to my keeping all of the things that need to come into there. In prepping for the open house and looking at how you are able to engage, one of the things that I've always found with being able to engage with people as they come in is all about my preparation. How well do I know the house I'm in? How well do I know the area, the street? How well do I know the market overall and the market for that neighborhood? And how well do I know the competition that's out there? And those are all important factors in terms of my ability to engage with confidence and deliver information. So in looking at those pieces and saying, okay, what do I know about the location? When people wander into an open house, is location something that they know a little bit about? Maybe. They may have followed your signs and never ever gone in the neighborhood before and been curious. Location, location, location. Always the foundation of real estate, why we're here. One of the things we need to know and be able to deliver about, what does that location deliver for people? Have you driven the neighborhood or just done it on Google Earth? I know there's different thoughts on that. I'm still an old-fashioned girl when it comes to being able to actually physically have driven the neighborhood. I always look at the Google Earth pictures as well, but what I figure out sometimes is that they're 3 years old. And the neighborhood actually looks quite different right now. So how much time have you spent on the location, understanding the features and benefits of that location, understanding, are there other exits than the main one out of the neighborhood? Is there within the neighborhood some things that you should know about for location? Where's the parks? Where are places where they can walk? All of the possible things that when you ask somebody walking in the door, so what's important to you in your house purchase? And they say, oh my God, it's all about neighborhood. Where's your depth of information? What can you provide? If you've just driven the neighborhood, there may be something that came to your mind that you wouldn't have known of if you didn't do a runaround through it beforehand, especially if it's not your listing and you want to make sure your time is well spent. The more information you have, the more information that's firsthand from doing something like that, the more credible you are with those people very quickly, because you don't have a long time to build that credibility. FSBOs. I like that one, Shelley. Shelley's saying you might also see some FSBOs that weren't online that they might ask about. Really quickly checking about those. Great point. Okay. What about the property itself? How much do you know about the property yourself? Anybody else ever listed a property and you've gone through it with the sellers, you've gone through it by yourself to measure, you've gone through it with the photographer, but have you really had time to hang out in that house? And that's one of the things that an open house can give you an opportunity to do if you've got a few minutes ahead of time to just wander and get your own time in there to make sure you're fresh on all the things that it has. All of the features, all of the benefits, all of the things that might get asked about, whether they're something that is positive or negative. The more information you have on the actual property, the more professional you're going to sound when you give the information, and the more credible. In looking at what our job is as a realtor, I always tell both my buyers and sellers, my number one job is information. That's the number one thing that I provide to people, is information first. So I better know the property, the location. What about the market surrounding? Shelley had a good one of you might see a FSBO driving the neighborhood. What other things might you need to know about the actual surrounding for that neighborhood? What kind of amenities? How far to highway? How far to stores? How far to doctor's offices? What are the closest schools? Are they French immersion, early, late? Do they have to go somewhere different for that? All the things that you might want to ask about a property and more, because you don't know who those people are and what's going to be important to them. And the competition. I have to say that the competition piece of it, I have found to be one of the most important for credibility when I'm delivering information on a property. That if I have not done my homework on the competition, both current and sold recently, I can't get the same credibility with people because they probably have, if they've been looking the area. Has anybody ever had that moment where you go, yeah, and you're telling a little bit about the house and they go, yeah, I know, that's my house. Anybody ever had that happen? I actually have in an open house. And it was like, okay, so there's my credibility kind of shot. Could I have known that? I don't think so. But could I have made sure that I did maybe a little bit more homework on it? Yeah, I could have. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else had any of those that they're sort of in that moment going, oh, okay, don't know, but I'll find out. It's a, Ken?
I've been caught where I hadn't checked my recent solds and something was under offer that I didn't know was under offer, or something had just shown up as active, but the sign wasn't even up yet. And they know because they're on the site that kept named.
Thank you. Well put. And what happens when that is the case, that you're giving information? You're digging a hole, I agree. And it's something that it moves so quickly. And can it change within the morning that you were all prepared the day before and changed that morning? We all know how fast this industry moves, what happens out there moment to moment to moment, and how techie clients are and how quickly they can be ahead of us in that game. So I think that that's a really important factor, a really important point, is know your competition. When you know it, research it again. Keep taking a look. Keep looking at it constantly to know where it sits. Okay. I'm not even gonna go there and ask what that with an exclamation mark means. Uh-huh. I actually had in my open house last weekend where I had 23 sets of people coming through, and it was super, super crazy busy, which had I anticipated, I absolutely would have asked somebody to come and be there with me. Was it a wake-up call to me of a sign of what's happening in the market right now? I actually think it is. And of anything that I could come away with was, wow, just when I was getting complacent and expecting one, maybe 4 or 5 people to come into the open house, and I had 25 cuts with me. That's how I knew I had 23 people, because I stopped being able to get all their contact information. When I had 4 sets of people in there that all came in within boom, 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 I stopped being able to do what I do best of greeting them, getting a feel of why they're there, who they are, and their contact info. And are they working with a realtor? And if so, who is it? I stopped being productive of what I needed to be able to do. And it made me wake up really quickly to the fact that our market, as we see it moving, it's a very dynamic kind of moving, can be like this in what we're getting into and what we're exposed to. So from that perspective, expecting the unexpected, I think, is a really key factor of preparation for going in to do an open house that tells you information is power, and you have to be powerfully able to present that information. You need to own it to do that. And there's nothing other than preparing. I loved this little quote, preparation precedes magic and excellence. And it's like, it does. How many people have had that magic moment when a Wendy McMillan walked in and said, oh my God, I didn't know I was ready to buy a house till I walked into this one. To me, that's magic. That's absolute magic. If you want to astonish others, then truly think, research, practice. Try on that information. Try it on to anybody who'll listen. Try it on to that person in the rear view mirror that you're driving with on your way there. Don't write down 3 ideas, write down 100. I say that about facts as well. That for me, if I write them down, I remember them. If I don't write them down, they've gone to somewhere other than my head. Don't spend an afternoon preparing, spend 3. I loved that in exactly what Anne just said of being caught at times because you've prepped when you had the time to prep, and right before something's happened and you're not there, you're not with it, you're not on it. Does that make sense for people? I think the other thing about the power of information is it's energizing. Anybody ever feel that? That, wow, you leave somewhere and you've got some new stuff and you go, wow, I'm ready to take on the world. I've got all this energy that I didn't have when I went in there. And the one law of sales, absolute law of sales. Anybody ever heard it when it comes to energy? He with the most energy wins. When people are coming into your open house, if we think back to a couple of experiences that were shared with us earlier about going in there, not really being acknowledged, somebody being texting, all of those things, even if I didn't have every bit of information on that house, if I have positive energy just flowing, then they're going to put some credence to the fact that I don't know, but I'll find out for you. The other piece that comes with that, how do I best contact you with that information? How do I best contact you with that information? That's a key piece if you've had somebody hesitant to share their contact with you. What is it that you may not know that's not going to be a deficit? It's going to be a positive because you're enthusiastic, you've got great energy, and they feel that. And he with the most energy wins. That's something they're going to remember. How does it make you feel when you're hanging out with somebody with a lot of energy? Absolutely. And saying good, I will say, that's probably one of the people that I suck energy from the most and go, oh my God, 10 minutes with Ann, and it's like, woohoo, I'm ready, I'm recharged. And we all need to have that. We all need to be able to share that. And we all work really hard and run out of that. That's human nature. It happens to all of us. But in preparing for an open house, be conscious of your energy level and where that needs to come from. For me, it's always information and sapping a little bit of that up. When I was saying about people are even watching you when you get out of your car and put up signs, I'm always listening to something on my radio that is like high-powered energy songs. And then I realized there are times when I get out of the car and I might be kind of dancing a little bit with it. I actually had a friend of my daughter's text her one day. I was doing an open house in Bedford, and I was going up into Oakmount subdivision. I don't know if everybody knows where that is. I was on the Bedford Highway, and I really aim for the biggest visual spots for signs, no matter what. Anybody ever had to climb snowbanks to get them up there and go, good God, Mr. Plow Guy, you weren't thinking about me when you did this. And I had a friend of my daughter's text her and said, OMG, your mother's trying to get killed on the Bedford Highway. And my daughter's question, and she's like, all for a real estate sign. And I thought, yeah, okay, but it worked. I got people. It was really busy. People stopped. They let me go by. I thanked them. And that's just part of selling your energy, selling what you do. There's somebody enthusiastic about doing an open house because they are. And I'm not saying everybody should put their life at risk to do it. It was probably maybe. It wasn't that busy. It really wasn't. But to her, she thought it was like crazy that I would do that. Richard?
So quick question, are you
Okay, I'm just gonna bring your
Richard has a quick question.
Okay.
So are you going to come back and circle around how you deal with like a silly busy open house and how to okay.
Okay. Yes, I will. And if I don't come back to that, I'm trying to stay on some other points. If I don't come back to that, then remind me, please, Richard. Okay. So one of the things when it comes to energizing is it is a scientific fact that when you change your physical state, you change your mental state and your energy level. So even if you're sitting at the computer at home, everybody sitting in the room, I need you to stand up for a minute. And we're going to take your word for it at home that you're standing up now. And what would be one of the ways that you quickest create some energy? And everybody creates energy differently, but it is a scientific fact. Change your physical state, change your mental state, change your energy. Anything? Anybody have any rituals? Yes, I love that. Are you doing them? We want to see you doing them. We want to know you're doing them, Holly. Yeah, videos would be good. We'd like to see that. Okay, everybody
If
here?
if you saw me, you'd be scared.
Okay, we're going to do them here, but we're going to do them off camera. All right, everybody. Jumping jacks, Holly says. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm leading. I'm not keeping up with you, Richard. So, do you have a little bit more energy? Oh, okay. So, just one quick minute of jumping jacks, less than a minute. Anybody feel?
Do the things that the guys from Bolt tell you.
Uh-huh.
It's like I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. And clap.
Yeah.
That grounds it and it tells your brain you are alive, excited, and full of energy. That's
Perfect. Okay, I want you to share that with the group, please.
Oh, really? Please? It's just sharing
So,
with friends.
learning from the Bold guys, they're always into that. You're alive, excited, and full of energy, and then you do the hand clap at the end of it, and you have to do it 4 times minimum, because that the hand clap seals it in your brain of what you've just said, and it wakes your brain up, so it listens to what you're doing.
So I'm going to suggest that you're going to come and lead us in that.
Oh,
And there's a camera there. Come on. We'll all do it with you.
why me?
Because you know how to do it.
Right, where are we?
Okay,
Camera. Oh my.
we are right here for the camera, right here. Can you guys all see him?
Please say no.
Nice shirt. Yes, they can see you.
All right, you got to get up. Everybody up. Stand up. So the chant is, I am alive, excited, and full of energy. Hand clap. Okay? So, are you ready?
Ready.
After 4.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. Clap. I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. Clap. I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. Hoo-yah!
Whoa, thank you. Awesome. Great way. Did you guys all do that? If you didn't, you need to, because it's very revitalizing. Was that a move out of your comfort zone? So the move out of your comfort zone is a part of every open house, part of every single day in a realtor's world, that as soon as we get comfortable, we get complacent. As soon as we get complacent, we get inefficient, ineffective. So the whole getting some energy going, he with the most energy wins. When you get that energy channeled, it absolutely changes your mental state, changes your physical state, and changes the way people see you and respond. And that is the face-to-face moment of an open house. So when it comes to an open house and getting people there, getting people engaged, getting to share your information, all of the preparation that you've done to get there, you've got to be able to deliver it in a way that's engaging, a way that is sincere, a way that is actually capturing them to help them be in a better, different mental state as well. You ever seen those people come in the door and you're kind of like, they just really didn't want you to see them, and you have to try to get them engaged. The energy piece is an important piece to be able to do that. Make sense? Okay. What you focus on expands. When it comes to the information and the amount of time that you have somebody captured in an open house, how do you know where to go? You've studied, you've got your statistics, you've got your information, you've got your pieces there to provide them. How do you decide where to go with that person? Any kinds of thoughts, any kinds of feedback on what you do to be efficient and effective with that? Oh, Chris. Hi, Chris. Ann? Whoops. Right. So I have to carry this part.
I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but for me, I ask a lot of questions. And so that I'm only giving them information that is relevant to them versus just blathering on about any and everything that I possibly know about the property. Because then I'm going to lose them.
Awesome. Awesome. Did everybody hear that? What kinds of questions, Ann, do you ask them?
Gosh. It honestly depends on the beginning of the conversation. Are they familiar with the area? Are they looking to purchase? Are they working with someone? Or is this their first home? Do they have a home to sell? Like, I find that some of the basics will lead you, once they tell you, oh, I don't know anything about the area, then I can start to, would you like to know more about that? I'm happy to give you more information, and we have a little chat about that. Or, asking them what is important to them. One of the things you mentioned was what's important to you in a house, and they're like, well, it's all about, the nature and the yards and the whatever, and this could be in downtown with a shoebox, and I need to know where the walking trails are or where the whatever. So I'm not being very specific.
No, you are.
My answers are geared to the questions, and the one question leads to the next question. So I try to be asking a lot of questions, and I know it's shocking for all of you, but I try to talk less and ask more questions.
Well, and probably not 2 hours with one single person, unless you're in a really quiet one and you're trying to keep them there. Okay, qualifying questions, and I think that's a really important part of being able to not just deliver information, but deliver the right information, because you are on a time crunch to be able to really get people engaged. And engaged, who does it need to be about to get them engaged? It needs to be about them. So the more you can find out from them, the easier it is to gear your information back to what's important for them. So in lots of the questions that Anne was mentioning are what we would call a closed-end question, that they just need to give a yes or no. And in a communication process, the yes or no questions can really help create a comfort level. And a comfort level, creating it quickly and efficiently with somebody you haven't met before in many instances, can really speed up that process. Then the important part is to be able to get them talking. And so those leading questions, the closed-end questions that require a yes or no, sometimes you get a nod, sometimes you get a word, sometimes you get a deer in the headlight look, and those are the ones that help to establish rapport, because you are trying to engage them. And then moving over to something that would be an open-end question to get them to talk, to get them to put it in their words. How did you end up here? Why are you here? What is it that you're looking for? How can I help you? Those are, you want to be able to really make sure you get a couple of open-ended questions in to get them talking. And it's going to really depend on what they're telling you on the yes, no, and leading you right through. That's where the depth of the information that you have, you can quickly rely on to get you back to where you need to go. Do you ask all of the questions before or while they're viewing or after? Anybody have any input to that for Holly? It depends. I would agree. It's looking at the actual buying signals from the client as to if you're looking at them for the information and to lead the conversation, I think you will know, and I think it will depend on when they're going through the house. Honestly, sometimes for me, it depends if somebody else is walking in the door, because sometimes I then have to make sure that I'm greeting the next set of people, and I may change gears a little bit and say that lots of those things that you're telling me about, you're going to see in this house. So I'm going to let you, if that's okay with you, take a walk through on your own with the sheets, and I'm going to be here to answer all those questions as soon as you come back. So that those things depend. If you've got 23 sets of people, really it was a little over a 3-hour period, I was sending a lot of them to walk around the house because honestly, they were coming in at 3 and 4 at a time. Ann?
The busiest open house that, not this Richard, other Richard and I had, was a multi-unit. We had 75 people through in 2 hours. Then were 4 cats we couldn't let out of the house, and the boots were blocking the door, and it was like, I didn't have words. Anyway, what I ended up doing was holding group tours where they'd come in and I go, okay, everybody, come on over, I'm going to start. And I would talk and take them through so that I could engage and at least have a conversation, because I was taking clumps of people and then other people would come in and they would join in. It was like literally like a tourist tour through the house. And then I would send them up to Richard on the next level, and he was waiting for them there, and he would take the group.
Awesome. Awesome. That's a great, really, really good feedback. What's that?
There was no other way to do it.
Yeah.
And for us, the other thing is anytime we're in a house where there's a physical separation, we will always have more than one. We had one listing, it took 3 agents because it was a 3-unit. So there was no way to have someone outside, someone inside, someone upstairs without leaving people loose wandering through the house, and with no service and no information. So, it's also having the KW mentality of sharing the wealth with your people and doing the best job. You're all going to pick up more clients if no one's going to get any clients if there's 50 people.
Yeah.
And you can't tell them anything.
Great input. Anybody else have anything to share on that? Great way to control, gauge the interest. Condo tours, we're invited as agents.
Kind of what I did.
Yeah.
But I don't know what else.
Yeah. and sometimes you figure it out as you go along. It's just one of those. Oh, I didn't think about that one, Holly. That's. Oh. Okay. Just if you're going to write that in your notes, that one didn't come from me. Okay, that's not a hide in the bathroom kind of thing. Thank you for that. That's great input. And as I say, had I had any idea, I would have had somebody with me. And it's one of those pieces that I did find other people listening and then saying, yeah, I got that when you were speaking. And it's starting to elevate your voice to go out to welcome other people into that conversation.
If you invite them in, they come in as a gaggle.
Uh-huh.
So you know how you have sometimes 3 sets that come in at once? Like
I'm
there's
just going to give you that.
there's nobody. Like for 2.5 hours.
Yes.
They come at 3:30 and 3 sets come in at the same time. And I've done it where they all come in and go, are you guys all okay if we go together, and then you'll all share information, can all ask questions, and they start, because they're a group, they'll ask things in front of each other because they're not just talking to the big scary realtor. So you can answer, like group classroom, someone else asked a question someone else wanted to know.
Yeah.
So that's work too.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. In the sharing of information and how much information we're providing and how we're providing it and being able to connect with people, that is a big part of it. What is everybody doing right now in terms of physical sharing of information and giving pieces of paper, giving other things out to people when they're coming into open houses? Any feedback on what you're doing right now? Basic listing card, feature sheet, that kind of thing, anything?
Our feature sheet reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Our feature sheet package has the taxes, has the cost, power cost, has all that stuff on it that Chelsea prepares for us. I think it depends too on the property. If you're in a foreclosure, you have nothing to tell them.
Yeah.
If you're in, we've had clients where there's a giant binder and we'll say, we're not going to give you this, but just to show you the transparency that these sellers have, this is here, and that type of thing. And if you're interested, I'll send you stuff.
There's the, yeah, there's the one I was sort of looking for on the, if you're interested, not even, because that gives them an opportunity to say no. I know that these will be of interest to you, so where can I send them? Yes. I know these will be of interest to you, so where can I send them so you'll have a copy?
Wendy, another thing that I use at open houses, once I've qualified the visitor and know if they're a buyer or potentially a seller of another property, I have a little brochure that is a summary of my marketing services for a buyer or a seller, whatever the case might be. I'll give them that little pamphlet as well.
Awesome. So you sell yourself
Mm-hmm.
and your services. Takeaway brochure. And how do you find that works for you, Shelley? What kind of rate of return do you get on that? Do you know?
Oh, sorry.
I guess that's you ringing. Mortgage cut sheet for Holly as well from a broker. I will tell you that some of the most efficient and effective open houses I've done have been with a mortgage broker hand in hand with me that I worked really well with, in which we had an automatic that if I was talking to somebody and somebody else came in the door, that he would take the lead, and we both gave out all of this basic overview sheet of each other and introduced ourselves, and then introduced so they knew who the other person was, what they were doing there, and invited them to have a conversation with them as well. And I will say that with the right person in terms of a mortgage broker, probably it was one of my most exciting open houses is we wrote 2 offers during it. So 2 people couldn't both get it. That was an interesting one. And that was way back in my pre-Keller William days. So, Anne?
I just had a question because I used to bring mortgage people with me, and I have found recently that they're less and less interested in attending because I think there's generally and I'm guilty of it, that I have the wrong attitude about open houses, and I'm so glad I'm in this class because I feel like I'm getting my brain back on, that I've viewed them in the wrong way.
Okay.
And I've gotten complacent about them. Oh, frick, I got an open house, and I hung my signs out, it's always raining, rah, rah, rah. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going in it with the wrong attitude, and shockingly, my results are not what I want. So, I get it. But when I think, now that you remind me of this, when I used to take a mortgage broker with me, different than an agent, because you tend to kibitz a bit more, my energy level stayed higher. Because you're working together, you're brainstorming, you're talking about ideas, you're doing business development even while people aren't there. So when people come in, you're a little bit more in mode. And then especially when you're on your own and you're like, okay, time cannot go any slower at this moment.
Yeah. Oh, it's 3:45. Shoot, there's somebody coming in the door. Yeah. We've all
yeah. So I think this is wonderful what you're sharing, because it's giving me back my mindset that I had before.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So a question back to everybody. If we're listening to that and going, I haven't been using a mortgage broker as much, maybe haven't been in the right mindset, maybe haven't had the right person to come in with me, any ideas on how to change that? Anything come up for you guys on how to change it, Anne?
I'm the problem. I had the wrong attitude, so I was bringing the wrong person in, or I stopped bringing them because I wasn't in the right mindset.
Okay.
So I have great mortgage people. And if I was excited about it, they'd be excited about it. But I'm not excited about it, or I haven't been excited about it, so shockingly, they're not excited about it.
That's the point of the whole class, right there. That is the piece that, not just this, every single thing that we do every single day comes down to that. If we're not in the mode, if we're not in the zone, how do we expect a potential buyer, anybody coming in the door, to want to go with us? We're not going anywhere. We're just spinning.
We're just there.
We're just there. Absolutely. And I think the girls that had recently been to open houses maybe put that through in one of the best ways, and how people feel. And I really have to say, when I looked this week, and as I say, I follow Barbara Corcoran, and just because I find some really different, interesting conversations she has with people and things that she talks about, and get me thinking differently. And the face-to-face versus technology was such an aha moment when I went, yeah, that's where I think I fall down on open houses at times, because I'm not doing enough face-to-face. And that is my best place to be, is face-to-face. I am so much more effective face-to-face than on a text or on an email or even on the phone. Who is that? Oh, Barbara Corcoran. She is a real estate magnate in the United States. She was one of the Shark's Den people, and really somebody to just take a look at. She basically built an incredible business in a very different manner. So she's somebody who, personally, my energy, my current, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Short blonde hair. Yeah, she's yes. Well, no, she's and most of her business is in New York. Yeah, she's in New York, but she is from. Yeah. No, she has short hair. No, she is from there, and she does have a base there, but she also does a big part of her business in New York. Yes, yeah. The other thing that I can say that has been very interesting for me. Yes, she does. Yeah. She and not everything that she comes up with do I grab a hold of, but I just find it very interesting to get a fresh, different female perspective on success and just all of the ways of thinking. Personally, for energy, and this is something that I do every single day, but always on open house days, as I watch TED Talks. Anybody else watch TED Talks? And does anybody else? I think there's lots of times that I think, wow, that's the most interesting information that I'll probably never use again, but I'm so glad I know it. And there's some of it that I think, wow, I just did something different because I was inspired by what I heard on the TED Talks. And you can control what you watch and how long they are and all of that. But if you're ever feeling like, wow, I'm in an open house and nobody's here, and how do I keep my energy up? That is something that I've actually done those while I was in an open house as well. Oh, okay. Google TED Talks, and TED Talks were the genius of somebody doing research to present at conferences and came across some very interesting presenters. And it is a growing facet where you can get them all online and you don't have to pay for them online. You can Google them. You can go, is there an app? I watch them, yeah. There's an app then, go on that. Thank you, Shelley, for Barbara Corcoran. Just go in TED Talks and you are spelling it correctly, yeah. And I'll send you a couple that I have saved that you might. It is on Apple TV, yeah. Yeah, as everything is, especially if you have the new one. Did anybody get the brand new one? Just got it. All the TV stations have apps on it. You can just download all the apps. Lots of things to learn on there. Okay, there is a piece of this that I wanted to mention, besides all of the things that we're doing to make sure we get people through, we get information through to them. Safety as an open house. And I do want to just really briefly touch on it. I have had in the past month an open house that was in a vacant property in which somebody walked in the door that actually made me, the little antenna go off and go, I'm really, really glad that somebody always knows where I am, how long I'm going to be there, and a code word should I text that means call me right now. If I don't answer, you need to come. And my husband's my safety net on that. And that is one of those pieces that hopefully none of us will ever need to know, ever. However, finding it out the hard way is not the way to go. So somebody should know where you are, how long you're going to be there, and a code word that should you text, and it should be very short, that if you text that somebody else looking at it, it might not mean anything if they're in a house with you, but somebody receiving it, it's very significant. So the other little tidbit on that, showing a house or open house, that you never park in the driveway. That you always park on the street. And that is somebody blocking you in, somebody coming in behind you. So just a couple of things to think of. The other thing that I'm always doing, and when I had so many people through last weekend, I actually still even more made sure to do this, is just walking by and checking that the doors are still locked, other than the main entrance. Yeah. Yes, yeah. I always check windows before I leave the house, but I was really conscious after a couple of weekends ago. Go ahead, Ann.
I was just going to add one thing for the girls. It's not such a boy problem. Leave your purse in the car because where are you putting it that it's not found? If you walk out of the room, people come in the house. Your purse, your ID, or whatever, it's all there. Briefcases, whatever. So only bring in what you need. You don't need your wallet. You don't need your wallet in an open house. You're not buying anything, right? So bring your phone, bring your business cards. Like, but truly, there's no need for you to have your purse in an open house.
Great point. Really, really great point.
Because now they know where you live.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That would be a pretty scary thing. I will say, in case anybody's never noticed, I never have a purse bigger than this, and it never leaves me, ever, when I'm with people. And it is just essentials. So that's my kind of answer on that. It's the end of the week. It's clean out time. I never thought about that. Well, maybe a distraction because I'm thinking it would open up and just be that. Yeah. One of the things when we look at people that are coming in and out of open houses, how many of those people tell you, oh, well, I have to get to 2 more? They're going to be going to a few open houses and they're trying to get everywhere that there's an open house within that time frame. Number one thing that I always make sure people know is open houses generally go from 2 to 4. I always prepare my people to not come home before 5. And I always say to people, you know what, when you're off and doing, if you want to come back, I'm going to be here till 5. That's my standard. I usually find that it's the last half hour where people come in, no matter what, no matter where you are, and that if you really make them very comfortable that their expectation is that everybody leaves at 4 and you're staying there for them, it is a very good way to establish rapport. They feel special, they feel noticed, and they feel like they're going to have more of your time and attention, and you're doing that for them. And I always plan my open houses. I never plan to be gone before 5.
You're telling who that you're telling when they come in that you're there till 5?
No, I'm telling the sellers, don't come home until 5. As long as there's people, I will be here if you're okay with that. So don't plan that you've got supper at 4:30 that needs to go in the oven, and you know they come in at 4 o'clock and there's still people and they're like, well, we're done.
Stay till 5 if there's nobody there?
If there's absolutely nobody been there and it's a really quiet day, then I don't advertise them till 5. I advertise them till 4, but I always plan to be there till 5. And in terms of any for other appointments, anything like that. And then when somebody comes in, if they come in at 10 to 4 and say, oh my God, we're really late, I'm like, no problem. The sellers know that I'm going to be here as long as I need to be. You take your time, let's go through, and they feel connected in a different way.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
You might be going to answer it. You alluded to something at the beginning about how you know that 62 point whatever % of people were introduced to your house.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Oh, great question. Thank you. I know that because one of the first things that I ask people to do when I introduce myself to them, which is with a handshake and first of all a business card, no matter what, a business card and a handshake. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming out. I really, really value that you've come in to see the house, and I really value that the sellers have been so gracious to give me the house for the afternoon, and in return, I've committed to them to know who's been in their house. So I really need you to just sign on the sheet and just let me know so that I can get back to the sellers a little bit about your feedback on the house and who came in to see it. And I'm just going to share this one with you.
Can you email that script to us, please?
Absolutely.
Because I can't write that fast enough. Because that was brilliant.
Okay, absolutely, I will. And the other thing that I will send you as well is that I'm finding that people, when it comes to what they're writing down in terms of contact information, I'm actually creating one that will just be a series of check marks as to how they knew about the open house, because I always ask them that. Are you just out taking a look around the neighborhood today? Are you familiar with this neighborhood? What brought you here? How did you know about the open house? And I actually just make it a very quick note in my book, and usually now it's in my phone, so that I know how they came, why they were here, their names, and I always introduce and say, hi, welcome. I'm Wendy Bennett from Keller Williams, and you are?
Ann De Silva.
Welcome, Ann. I'm so glad you're here today. So what brought you out?
Oh, it's just driving around in the neighborhood.
Oh, awesome. It is such a great neighborhood. Do you know much about the neighborhood?
I know nothing.
Okay, and then there's your opening of where you're going, your physical contact right at the beginning, and then from there is where I give them to the sign-in sheet to make sure. And when it's put that the clients, my sellers, have been so gracious to hand over their house today and let people come in, I have a commitment to them to make sure they know who's been here. Simple. It's very straightforward. It is the piece where that is your key point. Will all of them give you their follow-up information? Not always. Sometimes I have to then say, you know what, I know you're going to want this information and I apologize, I'm out of the sheets. I'll email it to you right away. And it goes back onto the sheet. So, Tanya? Oh, just one second.
I've tried to do that, not quite as eloquent as you, but and then they just say no because they know that we're going to hunt them down or something. We're going to stalk them.
Okay.
You know, there's just no way.
Okay.
There's some people, and then what do you say? Well, then don't come into my open house then, or what?
Well, I guess the question would be, it is a great question. It's a valid question. The question would be, if you were going into an open house and asked to sign in and you weren't comfortable, what do you think could happen to make you more comfortable to be able to give that information? Is there anything that might help that? You're going to answer.
I don't know, maybe they don't have to put their last name, put their first names down, and they don't have to put their phone number. At least if you got an offer in from Rhonda and Bob, how many Rhonda and Bobs came to an open house that wrote an offer?
Yeah, and that may be a help for it.
Sign-in sheet for 12 years.
Yeah?
I did them 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I've done it since.
Okay. I believe, honestly, that it is my comfort level and my ability to make them comfortable with why I need the information. So, it's what?
It's like being comfortable with the BDBA.
Yes, yes, yes. It's another one of those forms of, I have done it long enough that I own it. However, when I said that I'm just in the process of doing another sheet, part of that other sheet is to be able to have them check whether they're comfortable to be followed up, because I need a record of who they are. And I haven't found it to be a problem, but I own it. I've done it enough times, learning each time to get comfortable with them, help them get comfortable. If they walk in the door and I said, you got to sign on the sign-up sheet to come in, they probably aren't going to. My personality, I'd probably go, no, I'd probably leave. That's just me. So it is that.
Because now the next guy comes in.
Uh-huh.
They've signed in.
Yeah.
And it's not fair.
Okay.
Now you're letting that go.
So I think part of why I haven't had a problem with it, Tanya, is because I introduce myself with a handshake and ask them, and you are? And I've had maybe 2 or 3 people that are like, they don't answer you. And then I go into explaining to them, I'm responsible for the seller's house. They have been so gracious to give me the house for the afternoon to allow people to come in and see it. So if somebody's saying no to you, then maybe it's going back to go, okay, what just happened there? This is your own dialogue. What just happened there? Why? How could I have approached that different? What do I need to try next to make sure that the next people are going to be comfortable to sign in? Does that? Yeah, and sometimes that's why they don't want to sign in, because they do think, oh, that just means you're going to hound me. And that's not how you're presenting it. So in doing that, I have done open houses where I've done draws for things. I actually have better results getting them to sign in when I don't have something like that. That's just my own personal experience. I've done them where I've done restaurant gift certificates, different draws. And what I realized and recognized is once I got comfortable with my own script of how to present it, I had better success telling them why I wanted them, because I do want to know who those people are coming in the door. Knock on wood, I've never had anything bad happen at an open house, but I never want to either. I always prep sellers to make sure personal information, valuables, all of that are long out of the house, locked up, whatever they're going to do with them. But it is something that I've had better success not doing those. But I think that may be part of it. In terms of people, what they think it's a gimmick, and I don't want to put my name out there because then you are going to hound me and you are going to send me emails. And we need their permission to do that anyway. Does that make sense? Yeah. 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 And I think you have to be really comfortable with it first before you can present it comfortably. That's.
I think sometimes as well, it certainly comes down to what personality. Also, always try and be one step ahead of them. What can I give you that'll be a benefit to you?
Value added.
Say, oh, hell yes, I want you to have my email address.
Yeah.
Things like, if you're a neighborhood specialist,
yeah,
and you're already doing stats on the neighborhood, and you can say...
Sorry, I forgot about the people, Richard.
What did I say? Yeah. Oh yeah, being of value to the people that come in, so that when they walk in, your brain is going, what can I give you that you will definitely want to give me your email, your phone number? And I always go into what's the best email, what's the best phone number to contact you on. I don't just want your phone number, I want the best one, because that way you're not going to get the crappy email that nobody looks at, that we all have, because we all have spam emails that we don't give a crap about. But it's well, look, I'm a neighborhood specialist in this area. I know what's been going on. I know the stats. I know what's good, what's not, what's hot, what's great. Do you want me to send you that information? Because I prepare these stats every single month on a basis in a nice little chart. You'd like to get that information, I'm sure, if you're moving to this neighborhood, wouldn't you? And you're nodding your head, and they're like, oh, yeah. Thanks very much. Love you. So it's that kind of, be a step ahead of them, give them the value that they want. Because if you weren't going to give me value, I'd be like, yeah, richard@gmail.com. Good luck.
Yeah.
902-489-1803. And that, it's things like that you've got to try and get around.
Great. Yeah. Really good input. That's very, very helpful too. Thank you, Richard. Could everybody hear all of that? I do want to just also go through what do you do because people are going to different open houses. How are you memorable? So all of the things that we've talked about, from the energy level to the information level, Richard showing us his striped socks, which that's definitely memorable. And everybody commented on your shirt too, so that's memorable. Those are good things.
Accents help.
I have got to say, he's saying accents help people. I don't know. I don't think I could get away with the accent thing, but it really is endearing, I have to say. I always remember people with great accents. So yes, it does help. For those of us that don't have it or don't think we do, maybe we do for some people. There are some things that I've done that I wanted to share that have worked. Some of them I just get tired of doing myself, and not because they didn't work anymore. But I have done things like on Mother's Day, have long-stemmed roses that have the little vial on the bottom so they stay live and fresh. And every mother who came in left with a rose. And I was really memorable. It was like, wow, as a mother, I didn't get any roses that day, but leftovers. But it was really, really valuable in terms of investment and return on investment. I had people who came back and said, oh my God, that was so special. Because guess what? There were mothers who didn't get anything but that rose that I gave them out of the blue as well. And I figure if I'm going to be there on Mother's Day, I may as well share something with them that's memorable. So what kinds of things can you do to be different? What is your point of difference? And understanding your point of difference and then working it is a key connection piece that brings together all the other things we're talking about. So what is your point of difference? How do you actually be memorable with that and let's face it, sometimes some gimmicky things. I found this one pretty effective, and I have to say the idea spurred off of Rebecca's husband when I started to do all my insurance with him, and every time I sent him somebody and he sent me some of these, that I turned that around and went, oh, sorry. These Tim Hortons cards with my card attached to it. And I have often now, I always have these with me, and I use them for different things. They're a $5 card, and say to people when they've been in an open house, and I'm not sure because they're going to some other ones, but I really know they're an active buyer, they're not working with an agent, and I want to make sure that I'm going to hear back from them and say, I'd love to have a coffee with you. In the meantime, while I'm still here and you're moving on, have a coffee on me. And it's just presented as a coffee on me, $5, they're going to remember me. It's been working really great. I have a number of these and they come in handy. I have some things that, I have a restaurant that I do a lot of business in, and I buy a lot of gift certificates from them. And when I buy gift certificates that I use for thank yous on closing, then they've given me some $5 off coupons, and I've just attached my card to those and used those as open house thank you for coming. This is a great restaurant you might want to try. These are fun ones that, I don't know if anybody else is a Costco shopper, but I'm a bit of a Costco junkie. And it's amazing that still within the season, they've got, they're on to the next thing. They had these little chocolates that were, I think there were 5 in a box that I paid $10 for 5 of these. And they've been a great fun. Sometimes I've opened them in an open house and just had them there. And I've given them out to people who I saw as the best potential for what I needed them to follow up, and just put my card and attach my card on it. Same with these. These were leftovers they had. They still are current all through the winter season, even though I'm hoping we're out of that season. And I do have the pictures of these that I'll send you as part of the presentation, because I've forgotten to move those along as we've gone through. So I'll send you all of those because they were kind of valid. Maybe I should just here we are, the non-Mac people again. Don't forget that. Don't remember how to do it. Just to do the slides, move them on. Yeah, okay. I'll send you those guys those, so you can see them in just some of the things that I've used that I really actually find make me more memorable. And I need to be memorable when they walk out the door and they're going into other open houses. Myself, I need to be memorable. I need to have my card in their hand in a way that it doesn't just get dropped in the car, doesn't get dropped on the lawn, doesn't get dropped somewhere along the line, and that it actually has some value to them. So those are the gimmicky piece, I call them. And I think there's just so many opportunities to see little things. I do oftentimes throughout the entire winter bake apple pies. I know that's very old and it's very antiquated to some people, but the people who love it are the ones who walk in and go, oh my God, I feel like I just got home. Like, that is magical.
Please tell me it's not a like scratch up the pie. I'm out of there.
Okay, and say, oh no, I saw on Facebook that you bake. Yeah, tarts, which are very, very energetic thing to make. No, the apple pies come from, oh. The apple pies come from 2 places. There's a place, I'm in Hammonds Plains, there's a place on Lucasville Road that I get them for $2, which I really love all summer. And then M&Ms, which they're like $4. So I usually have a number of them. Trying to X that thing out too. Oh, okay. Yes, I bake it there and I don't follow their instructions. I have the homeowner leave me a cookie sheet to put it on, because I never, ever, ever want to make a mess in their oven like mine is. And they're just a frozen pie. Put them in. I turn the oven up to 375 for about 15 minutes. As soon as I smell the pie, I turn the oven right down to 275 and I let it cook the rest of the day that I'm there. And then I leave it for them, and they love that. And so the sellers feel like, wow, I was gone all day and I get home and my house smells delicious and I have an apple pie. And the buyers make comments about, oh my God, this smells like home. And there's something emotionally connected to that that just gets them in a different frame of mind to talk to you, to listen to you, to have a more open mind looking at the house. It lets their guard down, which is a great comment. It does. It actually it feels homey. Yes. Great point. I need you to say that into the mic for everybody.
Just, it starts to let their guard down so that if they feel like they're at home, they're going to start to act like they're at home. So they're going to engage more and
Exactly.
talk and be far more open.
Exactly. And once they start to feel that they're at home, they may see it in a different way, the house that you're in.
In South Africa, we're probably cheap because what the agents do there, they put vanilla essence on
Yeah.
a stove plate, turn it up so
Yeah.
that it heats, smells the house, and you turn it off.
Yeah.
That's the easy one.
It is an easy one. However, I have to say, I have had such good comments from sellers when they get home. And the first time that I do it, they don't know I'm leaving them the pie. And they're like, oh my God, this was so nice. I came home and I had a warm apple pie already. And it doesn't matter to them where it came from. and no, they would never be from scratch. It is. It's really a thank you for, being there and letting us have the house for the day and prepping it well. And as you hope that they have and followed all your instructions for that. I have done cookies. It's pain. It's totally painful. I love the smell of cookies. The smell doesn't last as long. If you're gone with somebody, they can be burnt and it can totally change the whole feel of it. And feeding them cookies in the house is a disaster because there's crumbs that follow them everywhere. So I often do have an Halloween season, the little bars. Yeah, that's a bad season for me. As you know, in between and all of that, one little bar doesn't hurt, but I often have those. I often have chocolates like these in a bowl. I usually always have a bowl with me that's a pretty bowl filled with something that is wrapped. I don't want anything to be there that's not wrapped because I wouldn't feel comfortable going in and touching something that wasn't wrapped or what could happen. Okay. People need to hear too.
I'm just wondering if you've ever gone to the lint store.
No, I'm a chocoholic. I'm not allowed to go to the lint store. That is my confession of the day. I'm not allowed.
Because they have a whole sale for their chocolate bars, and they also often will have bags full of their individually wrapped balls for $20, $15 for a very large bag, which is like...
Everybody else can know that.
Little rectangles that you get at Costco for $13.49 for about 450 of these little...
Yes.
Or milk chocolate ones.
Yes. Yes. I often do the peppermint patties from there too. The peppermint patties. Oh no, they have them at different times. They don't have them all the time. Yeah, when all their Christmas stuff is in, they don't usually have them, but they'll bring them back again. Yeah, they're a little less dangerous for me. I don't need lint. That's when I can't. Well, if there's chocolate involved, I'm afraid it's hopeless. I'm not gonna get there. Go ahead. We are. So in kind of wrapping up of ideas, some things that you've taken away, anybody, what's important? Richard? Oh, thank you. Too many people in the house at the same time. I wish I had Anne's experience at it and saying, oh, yeah, doing the tag team would have been great had I had somebody else there. What I ended up doing was facilitating what I saw to be the most important position was at the front door so that nobody missed being greeted coming in. And as soon as somebody else was coming in, if I was in the middle of telling and delivering important information, I just said to them, excuse me for just 1 second. Hi, welcome, come on in. I'm going to be right there with some information for you. Thanks for coming. and then finished with the people I was giving information to, sent them through the house, and then acknowledged those people. If there was somebody else coming in by then, I'd acknowledge both sets of people and get them going. So I really felt that the only place I could win was at the front door for people coming in and going out, and making sure that I was able to have conversation with them when they came in and before they left. They really needed to feel acknowledged. And we've had 3 showings from that since then, with sets of people from there. So thanks for coming back to that. So, aha moments, anything that we've covered today that you want to bring up, or what you're going to do first, what you're going to do, you see that you're going to do differently. I have to say, guys, I really feel like we've hung out in this bottom of the barrel place for a while, and that I don't see it being really quick to come up out of it. But by God, right now is a good moment in real estate to be out there and doing open houses. I really do believe that that's where we need to be. We need to plan them. We need to execute them well, and we need to stay in the moment all the way through them, understanding what's my goal, how do I make sure I'm going to reach that goal, and how am I going to be the most efficient, effective person, and I'm going to get the job, because this is a big job interview today. Every open house you go to is a job interview. And it may be times 10, it may be times 20, but it's always a job interview. Wendy? Oh, 1 second.
I had success with people coming through, and they show some interest, and if they're especially feeling that they're interested in buying, offer to take them out right after the open house, and it worked. I've sold a couple houses that way. They felt really special that, oh, just offering them that individual attention afterwards, and taking them to listings that are not your listings. A lot of the public don't realize that you can do that. So articulating that to them, and then taking the extra step that if you're interested in seeing them, I'd be glad to, like, I don't have an appointment immediately after, sort of thing. Awesome. And it's worked on a couple of occasions.
Oh, I think that's an awesome idea. And it also goes back to knowing your competition. Because if they're in and they're looking, and this may not be, or you were going to really recruit them to become your buyers, then being able to know what else is out there. It's a good time to know what's vacant, so you don't have to have a hard time to get into some of it too. And we certainly know we have lots of vacant property out there. I think that's a great idea. Thank you for sharing that, Wendy. Anybody else want to share anything before we sign off? Anybody?
Oh. Is an idea from Laura Kaplan. Is she, in the morning, she goes out and puts her boards out, not just 15 minutes or half an hour before the open house.
4 hours.
Yeah.
I'm getting my signs out by 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm putting 15 out, not 2.
Do you have the time on the signs?
No, I don't care.
Agitated.
Go and drive past, because guess what the rider says on top of the sign? Open house, 2 till 4. I just want you to drive past and go, oh, holy shit. Guess what I also want? God, I see your signs everywhere. Yes, you do.
So are your open house signs customized to you, or are they just like?
Nope, customized to me.
Okay.
So they've got my name on them, and the phone number's on it, the kid wheel stuff's on it, all of that, and they are literally, I'm not sure what they call them. They're not the H-frame metal ones, but they've got like that little one skewer. You just take it out, skewer it in the ground. Make sure your arrows are pointing.
Could you share us some information on that? We're KW, we share. Can you share that information and pictures?
Photos of the open house signs that I've got. And they're from LaChance Signs. You just ask him. I mean, I do the same thing. I find signs that I like of somebody else's, ring up Sylvana and say, copy that, please. And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Awesome. And nice to have ones that are customized, since I just bought new signs, and my first day out with them, they got stolen. Okay, so as I update my new contact info one, I will send that off to you guys. And the script. Now that is awesome. Congratulations. Somebody's talking. That's what we're talking about. Memorable. That's what we're talking about. That can't get you out of their mind even when they're in another house. That is outstanding. That is an absolute tribute to that doing things right. Awesome. Shelley Angus, did you hear that? He wants to know if it was a good open house. Oh, was it good things or bad things that made you smile when they talk? Oh, there you go. Good answer. Thanks, Shelley. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for braving the storm, and yeah, lots of energy, just whatever it takes to get your energy up. I will add the chocolate thing. That's also an energy thing for me. Oh. As a guest. Yeah. I always do my contact sheets too. Your writing is very neat, very easy to read. I forgot to send you the email last that I realized this morning. From the class I was in.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, we gotta click stop recording.
Oh, I already know that person. I was working with them.
Press the little red button there, and then don't touch anything because Erin will come fix